Hey guys, it's Ebony from Metal&Coffee, and my dog's choosing to eat right now and make loud noises. So some of my friends were like, you should actually start drinking coffee in your videos since you are Metal&Coffee. And I was like, you know what, you're fucking right. So here it is, and guess what? I'm gonna drink it. Alright. Fucking alright. Oh shit, I'm wearing white. God damn it. Alright, so for this video, I'm going to be reviewing Baroness's latest album called Purple. So let's get started. If you aren't familiar with Baroness, they're a metal band originally from Savannah, Georgia, and they're currently based out of Philadelphia. Their discography is currently features 3 EPs, the third EP being a split EP with a band called Unpersons. Their first LP called Red Album, second LP called Blue Record, third double LP called Yellow and Green, and of course their latest LP called Purple. So let's keep it moving. Before I get into my review of Purple, here's a few thoughts on Yellow and Green. So Yellow and Green was definitely a pretty significant release because it was a double album like I mentioned before. So the first album was called Yellow, and the second album, Green. You got it, I know, I'm sorry. Just making sure. And I think the release of the double album gave them more wiggle room to experiment in general. At this point, they were already shaking off the strictly stoner metal label and moving into a more alternative realm. And I guess I use the word alternative when you can't really put a label on the band sound. And that's a good thing. Now, one of the major things that stuck out to me on Yellow and Green was John Diabases and Peter Adams' use, they're two vocalists of the band, their use of the cleaner vocals on some songs, generally the more melodic songs, as opposed to doing the strictly shouting vocals that I know so well. So that was interesting. I felt they were just, you know, again, doing a lot of experimentation on Yellow and Green. They had a lot more melodic songs on the Green portion of the album, and I personally felt that some of those songs felt really empty, like something was missing, and they didn't have the energy that I would usually like to hear. Despite it being a mellow song, you can still, you would hope for a little bit more substance in some of the songs, but I just felt they were missing that. And so naturally, my favorite was the Yellow portion, which was the heavier, had the more heavier songs on there. I didn't really care for Green in general, so yeah, that was just my thoughts on Yellow and Green. So let's move on to Purple. So Purple was very highly anticipated. For the major reason being is that the band got into a major tour bus accident on their tour of their Yellow and Green album, and that accident resulted in a lineup change. 2 members left, so they had to bring 2 more members back in. And a lot of fans were wondering how they were going to sound after such a life-changing experience, because they were pretty critical injuries that took a couple years to recover from. But in my opinion, I am here to tell you that they sound alive and fucking well on this album called Purple. So yeah. So the first 2 tracks, Morning Star and Shock Me. Again, I'm gonna reference the fans. If you were a Baroness fan before this release and you were anticipating this release, and you started that record and you're like, listen to those first 2 songs, I can guarantee your reaction was just like, dude, this is the fucking Baroness. I know, this is great. At least that's how I felt. I'm not gonna lie, I felt like that. And those were the 2 tracks that stuck out to me the most upon the first listen. They started the album with 2 tracks that were basically, that is the Baroness sound. If anyone asks you, oh, what does Baroness sound like? They sound exactly like Morning Star and Shock Me. So exemplary. Their style is very intense, fiery, and loud, but it's very textured too, like so many layers. They don't only use guitar, drums, bass, but they also experiment with a lot of ambient soundscapes and whatever they can use to create something really beautiful, subtle but beautiful. Like in Morning Star, there's this really funky guitar riff that's backing the vocals. during the verses, and it's something that you wouldn't think would add significance to the song, but I guarantee you that was not there. It sounded a lot different. But yeah, again, that is just the Baroness template. I mean, I don't mean to say the word template as in they can be, you know, copycat. I think they're pretty unique as a band, but I'm just saying they have their identity solidified, and that's, you can't say that about a lot of bands, so good job, Baroness. And I also love how the vocals reverted back to the authentic shouting vocals that I know and love. Not that they didn't sound good when they were singing more cleanly on the previous record, but there is just something that gets me really pumped when shouting, like any kind of shouting, like dude shouting his lyrics, just like it's very intense, very emotional, and just adds a very dynamic feeling to anything that they sing. So I appreciate it, and I really love that they went back to their shouting because can't get enough of that shit. In terms of my favorite track on the album, it's definitely Desperation Burns. It pretty much throws you on the tracks of this crushing groove from the start, and lyrically, it's probably my favorite song as well. The line in the song that's like, I never heard a sound, but I could hear the hatchman dusting off his sleeve, spilt my blood, drank my dreams, and stopped the spinning wheels. There you go. That is my favorite lyric, and can't tell you why. I think it's mostly the imagery for me. It's a very dark thing to imagine. I'll leave it open to your own interpretation, but it's very cool, and it can apply to many things, to be honest, and I just really like it. So in terms of the more melodic songs like Fugue, which is the interlude, Chlorine and Wine, and If I Have to Wake Up, I feel like they found their sweet spot in making these kinds of compositions. As opposed to their previous release, their melodic tracks sound a lot more full, a lot more dynamic, and just overall super gorgeous to listen to. And of course I have to call out Chlorine and Wine because I think that signifies the most growth for Baroness. It's very bittersweet, quite tragic lyrically, but empowering at the same time. Especially near the end, where it becomes the most epic sounding experience of all times, where all the members are singing / chanting, "Please don't lay me down." And it's almost a tearjerker, I'm not gonna lie. But it's really a beautiful ending to such an empowering song. When I think about it, the entire album has this very theatrical and epic feel. My dog wants to say hi, so there, here, okay? It's like you're listening to the chronicles of someone going through a dark experience, but amazingly, that someone is so hopeful throughout the entire thing. And again, I keep using the same adjectives, but I just felt empowering. Empowering is the right word that describes this album and how far this band has come to release material like this. I really don't have anything negative to say. All I can say is that I look forward to their next release already because this one was very solid and awesome, and I'm so proud of Baroness. They are doing fan-fucking-tastic. So that's the end of my review of Baroness's latest release called Purple. Why don't you tell me what you think of the album by leaving a comment below? And I'll see you in the next video.